Hello, everybody. Welcome to the post-game show of Trump's Madison Square Garden rally. This is what a night! Just what a night. We are joined by Mona Charon, Tim, Sarah, Mark. All of us have endured hours of this. Tim is there. Was outside of the arena. He's still going. What are we at? Like almost 80 minutes, 90 minutes at this point?
Yep.
Yeah, well, okay. All right, let's do this quickly. First thought, Tim, you were there. I want to know what it was like outside.
Well, I have to break it to you. Donald Trump was lying about the scores of people that were lined up all the way to the Hudson River.
No.
Yeah, I know.
No,
I know.
he wouldn't do that.
We think in a former president, we expect a former president to be telling us the truth as he sees it. But that's not the case in this instance. There were, the actuality of it was still a little creepy and weird. Just, having a couple thousand people standing outside Madison Square Garden with Donald Trump's mug on it up there talking about how grateful he is to Jim Dolan and how, about the Venezuelan gangs, the Luego overdraws.
Storming Times Square, just a few blocks away.
So, that was a pretty weird scene. But I would say, again, it's the same observation I had this morning, which is, and some level, maybe it's expectations, because we're sitting there thinking about the Nazi rally from 1939 at Madison Square Garden. But it didn't feel like that. His there's plenty of bad rhetoric that we're going to talk about. We actually cut off right during Tucker's speech. I didn't hear him do the grossest possible thing, I think, actually, during his speech, which we can get into. And I'd missed Stephen Miller saying that America's for Americans. So there was some rhetoric there. But I just meant the vibe was subdued. I was expecting more counter protesting and shouting and people getting in fights with each other. And that's just not what the scene was.
Oh, I'll just say it wrapped up just now. I saw someone say that the entire evening was 5 hours and 42 minutes of programming.
Ooh.
I feel like they could have done a couple more hours, but you got to cut it short sometimes. Sarah, what were your thoughts watching this?
I was very bored. Donald Trump. I'm fighting sleep so hard. And I understood a few things, though, questions that we had about why all of this was happening. So one is when they did the RNC, I know a week after the RNC, when they swapped out Biden, or 2 weeks or whatever it was, they were so mad that they just done their big rally, their big to-do, made it all about Biden and hadn't had a chance to make it about Harris. So it seemed like on one hand, this was just like a do-over, same people, same show, but now it's going to be about Kamala. As best I could tell, I don't listen to a ton of Trump speeches, but that's his stump speech for the most part. And so I cannot believe people find that crap compelling. I just was like, this is so dumb. And Hulk Hogan couldn't get his shirt ripped, and Vivek is we're gonna win New York, and Elon with his dark MAGA and his weirdo sensibilities. How much money are you gonna cut from the budget? 2 trillion? What is that? Oh, tell me more. The land of lies. And here's the thing, though. Obviously, I watched Kamala's CNN thing. I watched Kamala do her thing all the time. And she does sound like a regular politician. She does. She sounds like a normal politician giving a normal political speech. There's a lot of people who don't like that, right? It's this feels kind of platitudinal. And I guess if that's the alternative that you want, if you're okay, but no, what I want is this show. This guy to ramble on and lie to me, and I don't know, just say a bunch of I just think I'm glad he did this. I felt you know what, America, I hope you're watching. You've got a choice in front of you. He's telling you exactly who he is, exactly who he's going to be. And nobody has an excuse. Nobody can go into the next thing, elect him or vote for him and say, boy, I didn't know he's going to be like that. Right.
Right.
We know. Also, Melania showing up. We say, I hate Trump. I hate him with every fiber of my being. And I don't try to like hide the fact that I have an intense loathing. I have like straight up TDS, but I'm not sure anybody hates Trump as much as she does.
No, I reject this. I hate when people. I disagree.
You think Tim thinks
Melania is the
he's on
worst
board.
Trump. She's in on all of it. And if the gulag started, she would be the first one to defend him and to be like, they're just being too the critics out there.
No,
just don't understand how much he loves this country. Wrong.
No.
Melania sucks.
Okay,
no, disagree.
No, stipulated she sucks, but like this is her first public appearance. Why? Because she's hawking a book.
She gets to
It's
hang out.
just like it's just like a
Mark, you're
family
muted.
grift.
Mark,
Well,
you're muted.
I would say this. I was sort of in Sarah's camp, but then you got all this sort of reporting during the administration and then the voice recordings from her friend. And it just turned out that she was kind of just like him. Like she was just like, she was just as angry about the media, that whole I don't give a shit, do you shirt or jacket she wore. We were like trying to interpret what the messaging was, but it was really just like a fuck you to the critics. like she's just sort of him, but she doesn't like him. So I don't know.
I
Sarah?
definitely dislike Donald Trump more than Melania, I guess would be my final statement. I think it's
all right. Well, let's
clear.
get back to Sarah's other point, which is that it's basically politics is entertainment versus politics is substance, and that's what this is about. And tonight was just sort of retrograde entertainment. I mean, Mark, you have to unmute yourself at some point. This is the year 2024.
But it's not
we understand the mute button. He's got to figure out how the mute button works, right? Does Mark know how the mute button works? No. All right. Apparently not. I was going to say, Mark obviously has watched as many Trump rallies as I have. And more or less like, yeah, that was his Trump speech. It's the same thing he said every single night. I've watched maybe months of these. Oh, Mark figured out the mute button. Mark, we were talking about how this was just basically an elongated Trump rally with a bunch of, more interesting guests, I guess.
Yeah, quasi more interesting guests. I mean, the most interesting one was Melania, and I just default to the theory of basic Trump, which is that they do basic things. So why did Melania show up? Not only is she hawking a book, but she lives in New York, so it's just close by. Like, if they held the Republican National Convention in New York, she would have shown up. But it was in Milwaukee. She's like, fuck that.
I'm not going to go. Who wants to go to Milwaukee?
Right.
This is, to your point, yeah. And to Sarah's point, this is an RNC reboot, or I think she had a better, I called it a reboot. She had a better word, sort of a redo. And there was a little more energy, a little more racist humor, and a lot edgier stuff. But this is basic cut and dried Trumpism, Trump speech. One of the more fascinating things I wish I would have done early on is track a story over time of how Jason Miller describes what a Trump speech is going to be ahead of time, and then just show how it never really resembles that. So he always tells the press, like, this speech, he's going to do this, and he always casts it as some sort of unique thing, like, like a restaurateur who's offering you some new dish, and it turns out it's the same hamburger, like, over and over again. So yeah, basic Trump burger.
Mona, was this overall net plus or net negative for Trump tonight?
But okay, so continuing with the burger theme, watching this is like being told there's this fantastic restaurant that has these people are lining up to get these burgers. Yeah. And so you go there and you taste the burger and it tastes like dog food. And you're like, I don't get it. What in the world? And that is what it's like to watch a Trump rally, which, the viewers should understand that Sam Stein condemned all of us to this horrible ordeal of watching this thing for the last 50 hours, I think it was.
5 hours, 42 minutes. That's it. It was a clean 5 hours, 40 minutes. It's nothing.
Torture. It's torture.
Every day.
And just for funsies. Just for funsies, because I guess I can't break the habits of a lifetime. I was jotting down like some of the things that he was saying that are just flaming lies. Like,
all right, give me your top three.
Oh, like the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. I stopped it. No, your Secretary of State, who you had the genius to appoint because he was a big oil man, he made sure that the Nord Stream 2 pipeline was exempted from sanctions so that it could keep going. And Trump did nothing about it. The whole thing was moving along throughout his presidency. There were other people in the administration who sort of raised a little bit of objections to it, but not Trump. Let's see, what else? He talked about, Kamala wants to, she wants to ban gun ownership. She wants to confiscate all your guns. This is all just completely made up BS. Not true. All right, here's a fun one on the subject of Melania. And I just decided to look it up because I know for a fact that if words come out of Trump's lips, that it's a lie. And
is she not a number one?
She's not. She does not have the number one bestseller on the New York Times list, right?
I thought about
it's
looking
number
that up
5.
too.
Okay.
But I just assumed it was a lie. Yeah. I love that Mona. I love that we're talking about how crazy and insane and weird this rally is, and Mona's like, he lied about the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. How dare he?
He lies about everything. It just drives me crazy. I want to live in the universe where people like us fact check politicians and it matters. And that's not the world we live in. And we're probably not going to live in that world again in my lifetime. And it's really depressing.
I just find because someone got up there and was like, Puerto Rico is a floating island of trash. And they're like, I have a black friend who wanted to carve a watermelon. Someone actually said that tonight, wanted to carve a watermelon. And Mona's like, how dare he lie about the Nord Stream 2 pipeline? Oh man, too much.
It was important, Sam. It was
I will
important.
say, on a substantive level, and Sarah touched on this, I thought Elon saying just casually, we're going to cut $2 trillion from the budget was like one of those weird kind of unforced errors that, they're going to start asking, hey, we have 1.7 trillion in domestic discretionary spending. Like, what are you going to cut? How are you going to get to 2 trillion, Elon?
And then RFK Jr. is going to be in charge of our health. So no more vaccines, folks. That's great.
Yeah.
Guys.
All right, Tim. Go ahead, Sarah. You're back.
Who listens to RFK? Listens to him as he's talking and thinks, I want health advice from this guy. I want this guy to teach me what his secret is. He is trembling and his voice sounds like he's smoked 10,000 packs of cigarettes before he got up there. The guy had a literal worm in his brain. Why would any of us take this man's health advice?
You're tempting me to say something I shouldn't say.
Do it. Say it, Mark.
Oh, it's the hours.
Yeah. No.
I never mind. Actually, let's move on from Mark.
Let's do that.
Don't.
But I have never understood RFK as an effective speaker. But for Donald Trump, RFK is like a prize acquisition, almost like some sort
Kennedy.
Almost like some sort of like a Mongol who's captured another kingdom and he has their king as like his little servant. Like RFK is just this very prized possession.
Yeah.
What was the character in Game of Thrones that they captured and they tortured?
He's like Reek. Yeah,
something like that. Yeah.
Although Reek is really happy to be here, though. He's like, "Whoa, relevance!"
Yeah, I don't know how to transition off of that, so I'm just going to start talking about something else. And to me, the big takeaway, and we talked about this a little bit in the pregame, but just from both being outside and seeing and talking to the people around, and then looking at the speaker roster, which I noticed that the vice presidential candidate JD Vance got the 6th warm-up act below Elon and the Trump family, which I think is very telling about the family.
And
the third world
White
family
outranked him too.
And Dana White, yes, it will be a third world oligarchy with rich people and family members on the inner circle and celebrities that like him, the next circle out, and then actual politicians. But then actually the third circle, which is what I'm getting to, is the MAGA politicians. There's no Mike Johnson was the only quasi traditional Republican on the list speaking today. It was a very and that's true about the people out there. And it was not. Sometimes you go to a Trump event and you can weigh in on this, and it's the Trump super fans are there mixed in with people that you could have seen at a Mitt Romney event, right? Like sometimes that you do that. That's like not really what's happening now. Like this venue was the new Trump establishment. This is what the party is. This is what the government will be if he wins. And in some ways it was like I think that was like the biggest takeaway from what they were trying to do for me.
So what does the establishment, what do they do? I mean, obviously they're on board, right?
It's over. Yeah, they go along with it. This is what it is. Yeah, you try to get yours somewhere on some policy you hope Trump doesn't care about. This is in the event that he wins. But I mean, he's up there telling you what he's going to do. He's like, we're going to do. This is what I wrote in the Nikki Haley article on Friday. The article about Nikki Haley voters. We're going to deport people immediately. We're going to tariff. And we're going to drill a bunch of stuff. Sorry, RFK. And then we're going to let RFK go over here and do some weird vaccine stuff. And we're going to give Putin Ukraine. Like that's the agenda. Like that was the agenda in the speech. Like he was on message, and that was his message. Like occasionally we're talking about tax cuts or inflation or whatever, but like he doesn't actually have a policy associated.
So Mona and I were talking about this morning because this is exactly what we were saying around JD Vance. When JD Vance this morning openly says, the military is going to be used on left-wing rioters. Like that's what we're going to do. If you then subsequently vote for it and they get elected, then of course they're going to do it. They have a mandate to do it.
Who's going to stop them? Yeah,
and they will, and the defense secretary won't stop them because that's what they said they were going to do. And this is the sort of fundamental difference between 2016, I think, and 2024, which is it's not like they're hiding it. They're saying this is what we want to do. Now vote for it.
Yep.
My only other similarity with 2016 is they did try to keep Trump. Like today, Trump didn't weave that much at the speech. He tried to stick with his message. So he is trying to do the same thing as 16, I think, with these next 9 days where he stays. You don't think so, Mark?
I think it's just coincidence. He's just feeling good, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, Trump.
But the difference is that the message is different. Like, and it's darker. And
what do you think?
Between 2016. I was going to say, this speech is identical to all the others. You know, basically his written speeches are 45 minutes long. But his delivered speeches are 90 minutes long because 45 minutes of it is
whatever
his stories, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah, you look like you really want to say something.
Sarah, how do you pivot out of this one? Like, if you're the Harris people, I mean, it's 9 days left. What the fuck's going to move the needle at this point? But there's plenty of content that came out of this.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think the thing already making headlines and actually making the establishment snap their sphincters a little bit is that those jokes about Puerto Rico and saying that Hispanics are just like reproducing because they don't pull out or they come inside just like the way they come into our country. I mean, I think some targeted stuff focused at like Puerto Rican. There's a lot of Puerto Ricans in Pennsylvania. And I would make sure that they saw that stuff. And you know what they're going to say? They're going to say, oh, well, that was just a comedian. That was just a guy. It's fine. Good. I'm laughing. I'm laughing that was part of their closing message. Good job, dummies. You guys have been. So anyway, I thought that was something that they should do something with. Look, I think she's obviously got her own sort of version of this, which is to go to the ellipse and to try to appeal to serious people in the country to say, hey.
Oh, no. I've never felt less confident about the election than right now.
I know.
That is
too much.
So that is the huge difference between the two of them at this moment, which is that he is making zero effort to go after undecided people. He's just trying to turn out as much of his base as he possibly can. And she is making a pitch for undecideds and for people in the middle. And we'll see.
She's also coming through, going through the motions of saying, okay, this is a closing speech. I'm going to have a closing argument.
Right.
I'm going to talk about bringing Americans together. He's none of that. I think I did a podcast with Sarah a number of months ago. We were talking about Nikki Haley, and she said, well, what's their attitude? I was like, well, their attitude is like, fuck you, get on board. Same thing. Nothing's changed.
Yeah.
We'll give you nothing. Well, why would they give them anything? I mean, everyone's jumped on board already.
Yeah, he's already won, right?
Nikki Haley was supposed to not endorse unless he gave concessions, and she endorsed. All these other people were like, we're done after January 6th. Can't do it. He never apologized for January 6th. He wants to pardon all the rioters. They got on board anyway. What incentive does he have to get on board at all?
Mark, can I give you an assignment editor question really quick from there? Because there was one thing I didn't get. There were a lot of printed signs, like campaign official signs that said "Pardon Trump now," and he didn't talk about that during the speech.
I'm sorry, it said "Pardon Trump" now.
Pardon Trump. Yeah, well, I don't understand. Yeah, I don't get it. Who are they talking to?
I guess I will find out.
I'll send you a picture. Isn't that weird?
Yeah. Was it like a message to Kathy Hochul?
Who the fuck knows?
Pardon Trump in the New York case?
Who the fuck knows?
Because otherwise, we're going to self-pardon, right?
Speaking of, well, first off, shout out to Jason in the comments. New sub. Saved his money on WAPO. Thanks, Jason. Welcome.
We're happy to have you.
Welcome.
Tell all your old WAPO buddies that
we will feast off of their.
I'm trying to get Ashley Parker's mom over here. I've been working Ashley Parker's mom. She wants to cancel the Washington Post. I'm trying to get her in. She's a fan.
Yeah. Jason,
I love
Jason. Go
Parker.
back to your WAPO buddies and tell them that the water is warm over here. While we're on the topic of Kathy Hochul, I love the little shout out to Mayor Adams he gave towards the end. I thought that was really nice. Trump, where he's like, they treated him so poorly, Mayor Adams. Okay. He's like, it's such a classic Trump move.
Yeah, well, there's no better way to receive like a measure of sympathy from Trump than to get indicted.
Yes, exactly. Well, no, you can just be an overall jackass, and that will also earn you points with him. Yeah, by the way, this is stupid, but it just struck me as so weird that he went on this, riff that was obviously intended to be entertaining, where he was making fun of Kamala, where he said her teleprompter broke and she couldn't cope, and blah, blah. And he went on and on about this. And then, isn't it great to have a president who doesn't need a teleprompter? He was using
They're right there.
Teleprompter.
They're right there. I had the same thought.
Yeah. It was just
I think he means I go off script. Yeah. And I don't need, but it is funny for him to say I don't need a teleprompter while you can see the teleprompters in the shot.
It is.
But you can clearly tell when he's weaving. And then he realizes he has to go back to the teleprompter because it's a total non sequitur. And he just is like, and as I was saying, and then he goes back and
when he starts talking statistics, right? And mortgage rates,
exactly.
like, okay. Yeah. So you go from like illegal immigrant murders to, prime mortgage rates and the economy.
All right, let's look forward a little bit. Okay.
Can I just go back to Tucker really quick? One more thing. Because we were talking over Tucker.
What did he say?
I missed. What did he say that got your goat? I missed.
Yeah, here's what he said. He was talking about prospectively to after the election, and he's talking about how they need to win a landslide to overcome the fraud. Speaking just one brief 2-sentence aside. I guess this shouldn't be surprising, but like overhearing just frank conversations about how the election was stolen in 2020 among about people having serious standing next to me, kind of lamenting it. Today? How we're going to be, just outside there today. It's just like the degree to which, and I know we all know this, but like hearing it in the wild and just like having two guys next to me and being like, we're really going to have to turn out this time because you don't want it to be stolen like last time. They're going to try. Anyway, so Tucker
that was the vibe at the RNC completely. Yeah. Everyone at the RNC was just like, of course it was stolen.
Baby.
So Tucker is making this point as well, but then he goes to a grosser place and he goes on and says, it's going to be pretty tough for them to convince us that Kamala Harris actually won and that she got 80 million votes because she's so impressive. So they're like, they're going to say she's the first Samoan, Malaysian, low IQ, former California prosecutor to ever be elected. And then he does the fake laugh. And it's just like, I mean, like the racism on top of the just already laying the groundwork for Stop the Steal 2.0, January 6 2.0 if she wins. I mean, it was gross. It was like a three-layered grossness, and it shouldn't, we shouldn't just ignore it.
Can we just remember that Tucker Carlson, when all of the stuff came out, all of his text messages during the Fox News lawsuit, talked about how he hates Trump passionately. Yeah. Yep. And here's the thing, listening to him, it was just like one big suck up line after another. You know why I love Donald Trump? You know why you love Donald Trump? It's because he gives us permission to be honest. And I was like, you freaking phony, man. But when you're honest is what your text messages said when you got subpoenaed, you little bow tie wearing fish stick loving idiot. Like this guy, that's how we know the truth. And the truth was he hates Donald Trump. Like they all do. Like JD Vance hated him. You know what's crazy is when you just watch the parade of like freaks that go up there and it's like Tulsi, Elon, RFK. I'm like, these guys were all Democrats like 5 minutes ago. And but they weren't like established. I don't know. They were just like, they were Democrats who then saw a way to go and like Trump could give them something. They had these like transactional relationships, and they're the worst.
Yeah, well, they were all.
Sarah, we should make you
sort of,
watch more of these things. It really I like this side of you. Like after you actually have to suffer through it.
If she had to suffer through this every night, would it take the edge off a little bit? I feel like she'd be sanded down a little bit.
She'd be
just to be clear, we don't know that Tucker loves fish sticks. We just know he's profited from the fish stick empire. I just want to be there.
He has to love it in some respect, though.
We got it. We're a fact-based organization here. I thought we did talk about all the Democrats that have kind of decamped to MAGAville in the pre-show, and it's kind of crazy. It's like all these people are going to have prime real estate in the Trump administration.
Yeah,
Tulsi will have a great position.
That's the
RFK is getting to what was the line? Go wild on health.
Go wild on health.
Go wild
great.
on health. Oh, I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
Elon's going to cut $2 trillion from our government. It's just a Democratic administration, but not
while
like
he's on the phone to Putin.
Yeah, sorry. Yes, of course. All of them have kind of a weird Russian ties.
Well, there'll be one traditional Republican with a prominent role in the administration, Stephen Miller, who gave the most Naziist speech at the rally today about how America is for Americans and Americans only.
God, say it to Elon's face, Stephen. You know, that guy came here illegally. Okay, he's from South Africa. Is he American?
What about Melania?
Yeah, what about Melania?
America's for Americans and Americans only, Melania. You're out.
These are Stephen Miller's rules, man. Not our rules.
What is an American, Stephen Miller?
Yeah, you gotta go. Stephen Miller made the rules. All right, we're at 30 minutes. I want to look forward a little bit. We got 8 days left. Fuck my life. Can we make it? I don't know if I'm gonna be able to make it. I'm tired.
We have so many more than 8 days.
Yeah,
left.
You're
We have so many more than 8 days left. Was it on the pre-show or was it a private convo I was having today with somebody who was like, the Democrats are planning 4 Floridas? Was that on the pre-show?
Oh no, that was me.
That was
you.
I
told you.
Yeah.
That was you. I just can't remember who I talked to these days.
It was 5 Florida recounts at the
great.
Like, so just do it already. Well, let's talk about the 8 days until the actual vote. I mean, it's just going to be chaotic. I think the big event is Tuesday night for Harris. This is her closing argument, but it will be, unlike Trump, it will actually, I assume, be different than a stump speech and a festival of MAGA weirdos. We'll see. But what else should we expect? I mean, is there anything big that can happen in these next days that would actually alter the trajectory? Or are we just like resigned to the fact that this is going to be a complete nail biter?
Resignation. I'm going resignation
there. Sarah, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Sarah.
I mean, I guess I'm sort of hopeful. I like that Donald Trump is going so hard at Milley and at Kelly because I hold out sort of a last-ditch hope that that they will do something straight to camera. I can't say this enough, that their words filtered through the media in any way is not effective as them going out and holding a press conference and saying, he is too dangerous. We are issuing a warning to the American people that we think it would be a catastrophe to reelect him. Like, I think that would matter at the margins. And I think it's like a remote possibility. You know, are there other things that could come out or other things that are part of the closing argument? I don't know. I mean, no. Yeah,
and I think that the poll, I expect the unexpected in our world. Who knows? Some crazy shit could happen in the next 8 days. I don't know. But the thing is that I think we know for sure is that the polls are going to look like the polls look right now for the last 8 days, mostly because even if they didn't, the pollsters are all scared of their own shadow. I mean, like the Times, I thought it was notable that Cohn was like, this is our last poll. Like he isn't even going to try to do like a agenda setting thing the weekend before. Like they all don't want to hurt their ratings. They don't want to be wrong.
I think the one poll.
I mean, Seltzer. There'll be some
there's
Iowa
one more
poll
out there. There's one more poll out there that I'm curious about.
The Iowa poll.
What's that?
Seltzer poll. Yeah.
Seltzer.
Oh, Seltzer.
Yeah.
So I think the I hope, pray I won't have to eat these words, but I really think the chance of anything in the realm of foreign policy blowing up in the final 8 days is very limited. I think what Mark, are you thinking?
No, I agree with you. Foreign policy is actually important for once.
Yeah. So, I mean, there was the risk that we were all sort of worried about, that something would happen in the Middle East. And now we've had, this exchange of missiles with Israel and Iran, and they both said, okay, we've made our point, and they're both backing off. And there's no, all this talk about a wider war breaking out anytime soon, I think is much more quiescent now. And so that, because any foreign policy crisis was going to hurt the incumbent. And so that at least I feel a little bit more comfortable with.
Let me just pause here for a second. And to those people in the chat, we can see your comments. If you have a question for us, pose it in the chat. We'll try to get to it, try to answer it. A little interactivity here. I will also note just quickly, we talked a little bit about earlier, the ill-timed and racist joke about Puerto Rico that was told by the comedian at the Trump rally. In fact, the Trump campaign has responded. A very rare response from the Trump campaign. Statement says, quote, "This joke does not reflect the views of President Trump or the campaign." I think the fact that they actually responded to this.
I had to. Yeah.
Did you see Rick Scott too? Rick Scott.
Rick Scott came out. Yeah.
Rick Scott. Maria Salazar was the first one. She's the congresswoman from Miami. Carlos Jimenez then followed suit, also from Miami. I do want to caution people, being someone from Florida and is a Florida man, don't think that Rick Scott is in any real danger of losing Florida.
No, right.
I think in Scott's case and Maria Salazar's case and Jimenez's case, they're kind of like, oh, what the hell? The Trump campaign, as with other things like the Maha rallies that Tulsi and RFK go to, when I asked Gabbard about it, when I did a story last month, like, well, what do they want you to say? She's like, they don't want us to say anything. They just let us do what we want to do. And apparently that was the same thing here. They're like, okay, Mr. Edgy Comic, whatever his name is, Kill Tony, go out there and perform. The guy goes out there. He's like, hey, Puerto Rico's an island of trash and black guys like to eat watermelons. And, here's an ejaculation joke comparing immigrants to semen. Like, wow.
I don't know why they're canceling him. I don't understand. I don't get I don't understand.
Because it's the censorship, Tim.
Yeah, I thought this was the First Amendment.
It's going to be the greatest. It's going to be the greatest thing for Kill Tony, though.
Oh yeah, this is a good question from Laura here. Laura says, "I need to know. Maybe Mark knows. I need to know what the Trump's comments about his secret was referencing. That he and JD would let us know about after the election. Did you catch that?
I did. That's just like I just strike that. That's just typical like Trump creating drama. I mean, maybe him and JD have some sort of secret thing. He did admire and comment on JD's beautiful looks and JD's cruelty or meanness, which it's tough to tell which one is sexier to Trump. But yeah, I think this is just a thing for Trump, right?
No.
Okay. We got asked, are we worried about being jailed if Trump wins?
No.
I'm not worried. I'm kind of hopeful about Mark being jailed.
You're hopeful. I could tell another joke, but I won't.
I would just say we get this a lot. It's worth saying because I get kind of annoyed when other journalists do this. Like, I think that there are people at serious risk in Trump administration, particularly the folks that went after him legally for retribution. I think that they're in serious risk. I think that trans kids are in pretty serious risk. I think that immigrants, people that feel have family members that are here illegally, are pretty serious risk. I think we're pretty far down the list.
Yeah,
agree.
Well, I agree.
Although,
Tim, you've been
very, very careful about your record keeping when it comes to tax time.
Yeah, I got to tell you, it was at 6 minutes into that first Biden debate, I texted my accountant and I was like, we got to do the full audit this year, big guy. But luckily we've turned that around.
Here's another question. All right, people kind of want to know, are any big Republican names that have been on the sidelines possible going to come forward? One person wants to know if it's possible that we get something from W. I'm kind of more curious about Mitt.
Yeah, W no.
W, no, absolutely not.
I think Mitt is tortured and is on. I've a high degree of confidence that Mitt is tortured and on the fence, and he could. But there's no. If we had, I guess let's put it this way. Somebody commented at Sarah or tweet. I saw this tweet. Some person tweeted Sarah's like, things must be pretty bad if Sarah is ringing the alarm bells this publicly, because if she thought it was happening privately, she wouldn't be going this crazy about it. And I was like, that was an astute observation. If we had reason to believe, based on our private conversations, that more of these people were going to be speaking out, we wouldn't be yelling. I wouldn't be yelling about it on the Nicole Wallace show tomorrow. Like I'm sure.
And I would like to promise you that people have worked very hard. People have worked very hard to make the case directly to people about the importance of them speaking out. Nobody has any excuses. Nobody can be like, I don't know. Nobody asked me. Nobody told me. Nobody told me about how much difference it would make.
What, there's an election?
Yeah.
Who knew?
I would love to see Mitt come out late in the game, but more for, I want to feel good about Mitt. And I think it would matter only slightly. But I think it might matter to some like sort of donor types, Wall Street Journal reading types. I want everybody to do it. What I want is to create the feeling in the last week that Trump is collapsing, right? Yeah. What drives me crazy is that the MAGA types and Trump, Republicans in general, they are better at creating their own reality, right? They create the reality they want to live in. They want to sound bullish right now. They're sounding bullish. They know Democrats will just wet their pants all day long. And that's fine. I'm like, there's part of me that's like, you know what? Operate from the underdog. You know, you don't need to project overconfidence because you want your people to get out there and vote. But I just, I would like there to be a bunch of people coming out at the last minute. So I don't know who Bad Bunny is, but I was pleased. I
briefed everybody on Bad Bunny in the pre-show.
Right. So, well, I'm pleased to see that Enrique and Ricky Martin and Bad Bunny, who I've never heard of, but apparently has a lot of followers. Like I want that sense. I want that sense of momentum stalling out for Trump at the end here, and for Kamala to have that sort of moment at the end that goes up.
Look at this man. Let's see him shirtless. Sebastian, or at least in a tank top.
That's okay. You guys can do that later.
What are you talking about? That's a great time.
Oh, there it is.
Look at this. Look at this man.
Okay, well, there's nothing about this is helping me. Yeah. What I want is to feel the collapse of Trump in the last week.
I think, Sarah, that's why Jen O'Malley did well on MSNBC today. She never does TV, but I think occasionally they need to get someone out to be like, the bed's wet. It's already wet. Don't need to wet it anymore. Things are fine. We're going to calm things down. And so she went out there and she said, we're going to win.
She did that. She did that right before to tell us all that we should calm down.
Calm down about
Biden stepping down. So I'm like ish on that move, but I'll just say.
Okay,
maybe Pluff. Maybe Pluff better for that job. Nothing against you, Jen.
One point that, because we at the Bulwark have spent, I don't know, it feels like 100 years, but, the last 8 years, lambasting our former party for its spinelessness. And in the last 2 weeks, we have seen an unprecedented number. Now, obviously, it's not enough, but still, a lot of Republicans have come out and said they're supporting Kamala. You had Fred Upton and a bunch of other people who, did do the right thing. And it's important to recognize them. It is not easy to do. And if you added it up, I'm sure that this is unprecedented in the history of this country to have this many members of a party oppose their own nominee.
So, 100%.
Yeah.
People forget 2020 wasn't like this.
No.
2016, it wasn't like this.
No.
Go ahead, Mark.
I saw a question pop up on the screen about Nikki Haley. Is Nikki Haley going to campaign with Trump, and will it make a difference? I'd written a story about this, about how they were in talks to have Nikki Haley join Trump, maybe at a town hall, maybe moderated or hosted by Sean Hannity. So far, that hasn't come together, which is not a great sign. Now, notably, after I wrote the story, the following morning on Fox and Friends, Trump was asked, hey, are you going to campaign with Nikki Haley? Because Fox is trying to make it happen. So he goes on the show. And then Trump just says, I'll do what I have to do to win. And then he just proceeds to just basically just dump on Haley.
Dump on her.
So I don't think that was well received by Haley. I'm not clear on where the friction is. To answer the second question, will it make a difference? Probably not. But as with like Bad Bunny and all these other things, if something is positively reflecting on your candidate, it's good. And if something's negatively reflecting on your candidate, it's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, we got about 5 minutes left. Probably good enough to just sort of go around the horn. Some final thoughts on the rally tonight and sort of the state of the race. Mona, why don't you start?
So it is truly a freak show to watch these people. I mean,
I feel like we did something wrong to Mona. I feel bad. I almost
We
feel
better
a bit
watch
bad
Hulk
that we
Hogan
did
rip his shirt off. That's
Yeah,
what
Mona,
the
we
second
traumatized
time.
Mona.
Fun.
I feel bad.
Yes. Yeah, no, it is truly gobsmacking to me to watch this parade of people who are so, first of all, vulgar, stupid, catastrophically stupid. This troop of people who get out there and engage in the most flagrant lying, and the audience is lapping it up. And that's one of our two great political parties right there.
It's
That's
not
all
great.
they've got.
It's not great.
What?
It's not great. It's not one of
No,
our two
it
great.
sure isn't. On the other hand, here we are. We live in this country. I said earlier to JVL in the pregame that, look, you know, he was saying 47% of the American people want fascism. And I said, I don't think it's 47%. I think 30% of people want fascism, but the rest are just too inattentive to know what they could be voting for and would be voting for if they choose Trump. So, you know, to the degree that this freak show today gets out there on social media and, you know, more people are turned off, then it was good. Otherwise, it's a wash.
I gotta say, some people who appear to be new to the Bulwark are commenting, "What's a JVL?"
No, they're old to the Bulwark.
Okay.
They're deep in.
Yeah,
If
they're
that-
deep in it.
that's an
Okay,
in-joke.
Good
Like,
question.
oh, I didn't know that. See, I'm new to the nerd. Where is
Oh.
JBL? He was on the pregame show, people. You got to tune into both. True fans would have done both. All right, Tim.
I don't have any additional thoughts about Madison Square Garden that haven't already shared during our 1 hour 40 minutes of programming. But I do want to say one thing here to our closest friends and family and members, because I do think this sometimes gets lost. I think there's going to be a lot of stress about the election, and I'm an emotional roller coaster. You know, when LSU was up 17-7 last night, I was already booking tickets to the playoff, and then they ended up losing. And now I'm like, this is going to be the worst. This is the worst team I've ever watched. You know, like that's just me. I'm an emotional person. I go up and down. But the reality is that like this race has not changed for a month, and it's not going to change this week. And the Trump people like want you to think that it has, and like and there's some liberal influencer types that want you to think that there's some secret numbers out there that prove that the Democrats are going to win, and like that stuff just doesn't exist. Like I've spoken to the smartest people that I can speak to about data on the Democratic side, and I've spoken to the only Republicans people that will speak to me who are smart on data. So they maybe aren't the smartest, but they at least will return my calls. Everybody says the same thing. It's a very, very close race. She has a clear path through the upper Midwest. He could win one of those states, though. And so, like, that's where the race is. That's where it's going to be the last 9 days. Keep on coming back to the Bulwark. We'll keep entertaining you throughout those 9 days. But, like, I just don't like that's just kind of where things are. And I think that some people see that as like, oh, that's negative. Or that's like, that's just, this is where
That's
the race
just reality. That's straight reality. Mark, final thoughts.
Just to kind of wrap things together and having covered Trump now for just 2 years full time and watching this show is I cannot shake the feeling that most of his supporters or a lot of his supporters are totally checked out from anything that we say. And so anyone hoping that a new bit of news, whether it's a video of John, Kelly or Milley saying something and having that make a difference, I don't think anything makes a difference now. I think we're just on autopilot, and I just don't know if that autopilot takes us where that takes us. But right. What's just really impressed upon me, the times I've gone out and talked to people, it's just how little people are paying attention to a consistent mainstream media narrative now. And Trump operates really well in that chaotic space.
Yeah.
I'll give my final thought, and then I'll turn over to Sarah. I'm going to go back to what JVL said earlier tonight because I think no, it's all right. I mean, it's obviously dark and depressing, but that's JVL. I think the takeaway for me tonight is the absence of things. And by that I mean there was no counter protests. There was no, crazed anger that this was even happening in the middle of Manhattan. And how could this happen? And James Dolan should be excommunicated for allowing his arena to, all the stuff that would have happened in 2016, 2020, that wasn't there. And to me, that signifies that there has been not an acceptance, but an embedment of become embedded. The movement's become embedded in our society. We aren't alarmed like we used to be about it, or we're not, fighting back in the way that we used to fight back against it. And so that, to me, is the takeaway from tonight, is that this man can have a rally of 20,000 people in the middle of Manhattan, and that's just that. And, it is what it is. I think it bleeds into the discussion we're having about the Washington Post and Jeff Bezos and all that stuff. But this is part of our society. This is part of our politics now, and it's become entrenched in a way that would, not have been conceivable of several years ago. So that's my takeaway for tonight.
I agree with that. Sarah, before your final take, I have a piece of good news that rebuts Mark, that it just came across the transom. And so I love rebutting Mark, and I love good news. And I love compliments. And all these things are in this one message I received from a Bulwark founding member. And he says that his mother had reluctantly voted for Trump in 16 and 20. And after reading the recent article that I wrote, making the case to her that she should vote for Kamala, she has decided that she is going to reluctantly vote for Kamala Harris.
Wow.
So one person has changed their mind, Mark.
What state is she in?
I didn't ask. I assume if it was a state that we cared about, they
Wyoming.
But thank you
She's in
so
Massachusetts,
much.
And
Can I just cite one of the comments that I saw flying by? It made me laugh.
Sure.
This woman wrote, I'm one of a bunch of old ladies who really like Tim. Alas, he's ... young.
He's not that young. Not that young. All right,
cute.
Sarah, close it up, please.
Let me take your point, Sam, and reframe it. I got two things I want to say. I agree that it's like, there's no counter protest. But what if that's good? And what I mean by that is like, what if people have decided that all the protesting and the women's marches.
It
was such a powerful point. That
it froze the internet.
All the protesting and the women's marches.
Donald Trump strikes again.
Holly.
Sebastian.
Everyone. Okay. All right, guys. Come on.
Someone's getting fired.
Someone is in trouble.
What we're gonna do is we're gonna
like frozen
talk
in
2
time.
minutes.
No, here's
Sarah can't get back in 2 minutes.
Or maybe Sarah should just do this as a selfie video that we post.
You just want to get off
YouTube.
You just want to get off of the call, dude.
I do.
I do want to get off of the call. It's only been 5 hours.
I think we should stay here until midnight. That's what
I think that Sarah should post this as a selfie short.
Okay, that's what we're gonna do, guys. Here's what we're gonna do.
No, I disagree. I don't want to get in trouble, man. I'm not.
You're not getting in trouble. Sarah's gonna do something. Her final thought. We'll record it. We'll send it out to the members. They'll get their fix.
Did you just cancel Sarah? Did you just like?
I didn't. Sebastian did. I would never.
Well, maybe she's gonna come back in. Maybe we should just like wait 30
I love
seconds.
how petrified Mark is about what
I'm
Sarah did.
Hey, it's on the record now, Mark. She heard it. It's on the record.
This is my third media job this cycle. All right? So, I'm just telling you guys, I've had a bad fucking record. So.
I can't lose another one. Sarah.
Whatever she wants. I'll come over and wash your car,
All right, quickly, as we wait for her to get back, did anyone else drink tonight, or was I the only one?
No, I had
a glass of wine.
Yeah, a few glasses of wine.
Half a bottle.
Half a bottle.
Man.
Excellent. Good work.
Needed it.
Yeah.
Good work.
I'm getting into the place where things are too serious for drinking.
No.
There's no such place.
Yeah, that's where I was at the venue tonight.
It's the inverse. It's like
Time to
Join
move on to
her.
fentanyl. You know,
Yeah, things are too serious for drinking.
move on
I
to
do.
trank.
I do think I will maybe make one exception to this next Friday. I guess we can tell our members it's not public yet, so it's a secret. But I will be on Bill Maher against Barry Weiss for the final Bill Maher before the election. So don't tweet that because it's not public, people. But
So it's going
that's
to be
exciting.
it's
So I
going to
will
be.
probably drink after that. I guess
Is
where
it
I was
is
going.
Have
it
you
going
done
to be
Bill
a
Maher
straight
before
up
or no?
debate about the election?
No, it's just a panel. We're the
Oh,
panel.
okay.
We're the panel. But
Okay.
but I mean, it happens to be the one 2 days before the election, so I assume
Okay.
that will be a big part of the.
That's a really
subject
interesting
matter.
pairing, though. The Free Press and the Bulwark.
It is.
Like this
It
kind
is.
of the
But I
side.
think they got the idea from Ben Smith because Ben Smith was like Barry is shepherding wayward liberals over to the Republicans.
Well, especially Jewish. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm doing the opposite. We are doing the opposite in some cases. So I don't know. So I will drink after that.
Fabulous.
But besides that, I don't know. I think I'm sober until we have a
Good
president.
for you. Well, I'm definitely not. I am knee deep in it. Not in a problem.
I will have a couple sips.
All right. Well, I guess Sarah didn't come.
Oh,
back.
There she is.
There it is. Hey, Sarah, they tried to cancel you.
We
Yeah,
did.
I know. Look, I got it on my phone. I don't know why StreamYard does not like work with my computer, but that's not the point. Just listen. I'm just gonna finish my thought, which is this. That people are tired, right, of all of the performative stuff. And there's really only one thing to do, which is vote. And if you remember, this was the one thing about the Nikki Haley voting. When she was off the ballot, like she wasn't even in the race anymore. She dropped out. All these people still showed up because the one thing they can still do is like vote against this guy. She was putting up like weirdly high numbers in those places. And so I hold on to that as like, people have decided this guy's going to give this same stupid rally. He's going to say his dumb shit. And like, there's nothing else to do but vote. And so like, that's where people are right now. So that's point one. Point two is I think that aging Hulk Hogan is a metaphor for everything. Watching him, Hulk Hogan was my favorite wrestler as a kid. I wasn't like that into wrestling, but for whatever reason, I loved Hulk Hogan. But at this point, that guy is like rode hard, put away wet. He's trying to do this old act. It's tired. He looks tired. And it's like late stage America. Like that's the kind of nostalgia people are holding on to. And it's weird. It's weird and it's not good anymore. And so I felt like they keep putting stuff up that doesn't make me feel forward looking about America. And I won't get dragged down by Tim and JVL and anybody else's like emotional roller coaster. Like the one thing that has been constant in the focus groups is that people hate this guy.
Yep.
And even the ones that like might hold their nose and vote for him, they really hate him though. And I just don't believe you could be hated that much and like pull out this win.
Amen to that. I love
right.
the idea of aging Hulk Hogan as a metaphor, as a piece for the Bulwark. I'm going to pitch you on that. I think it's a great idea. And we
Stop
can make
telling
good
my
art.
ideas back to me.
Well, that's my job. That's literally why you hired me. So on that note, Mona, Tim, Mark, Sarah, guys, I think we all should apologize to Mona. We traumatized her. It was bad.
Mona cursed. Mona cursed. I want to notice. I just want you to notice. Mona cursed.
This is when you forced me to sit through, 15 hours of MAGA.
You keep getting 4 more
You're gonna
hours.
sweat. You're gonna sweat.
All right, let's leave it at that. And also, wait. To the Bulwark fans, the members, you guys are awesome. This is so much fun. Love the questions. Keep coming back. Keep canceling your Washington Post subscriptions. Tell your people to sign up with us. Okay. We really appreciate you. We'll see you guys all through the next 8 days and beyond. Take care. Bye, guys.
Everyone.